It is January 1st, 2024, and it is now time to do our second annual Clown World of the Year Awards for 2023. And what a year in clowns it was. A very difficult list to compile for the clowns of the year. And the way this is going to work is I am going to get to the top 5 clowns of the year for 2023. But before we get to the top 5 clowns of the year, a very difficult list to compile, extremely difficult list to compile because there was so much material to go through, so many amazing clown worlds this year. Before we get to the top 5 clowns of the year, I want to first start off with some rising clowns. Rising clowns to look out for in 2024. Now, these are people who really had some great clown worlds, but those clown worlds came towards the end of 2023. As strong as those clown worlds were, they just weren't enough to give them a top 5 spot for 2023. So I think these are the clowns that we should be on the lookout for 2024, the rising clowns. And the first name on the list is Lindsey Graham. Yes, Lindsey Graham, the neocon warmonger, who in 2023 he called for the deletion of Russian President Vladimir Putin, and recently he has been going absolutely crazy, trying to get a war with Iran. And so as conflicts escalate, especially in the Middle East, I think we really need to keep a lookout for Lindsey Graham, the U.S. Senator from South Carolina. And another rising clown that we should be looking out for is Nikki Haley, neocon Nikki. Boy, did she have some amazing clown worlds the past couple of months. During the GOP debate, Vivek Ramaswamy asked Nikki Haley to name 3 provinces, oblasts in Ukraine, and Nikki had no idea what Vivek was talking about. She called for the doxing of all social media users. She said that anybody that uses social media should present their license or passport, or their names should be revealed and open to the public. And who can forget her statement where she said that Putin's birthday was connected to October 7th and Hamas. So Nikki Haley is someone that we should definitely keep an eye out for. There's a reason that Trump calls her a bird brain, and I'm expecting really big things in 2024 from Nikki Haley. Another person we should be out on the lookout for in 2024 is the new president of Argentina, Javier Milei. Now, he has all of the makings, all of the criteria to really be an amazing clown in 2024. He could probably win the Clown World of the Year in 2024, but he can also turn out to be a hero who got Argentina back on the economic path towards growth. So Milei is someone who can end up being a hero in 2024, or he could turn out to be perhaps the winner of Clown of the Year in 2024. And one more person that I think we should be out on the lookout for is Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson. Now, Boris Johnson, I think he won Clown of the Year last year. He won our first annual Clown of the Year. And this year, Boris Johnson, he hasn't been quiet, but he's only made a few clown worlds. In 2024, he is not prime minister anymore. And the big news for Boris Johnson in 2023 was the confirmation that Boris Johnson did indeed destroy the ceasefire agreement between Russia and Ukraine at the end of March, early April. A ceasefire agreement that would have led to peace and saved hundreds of thousands of lives. And it was indeed Boris Johnson who flew to Kiev and sabotaged that peace agreement. But there are reports that the Tories want Boris Johnson back in politics, and if that does turn out to be the case, and Boris Johnson makes a return to UK politics, well, he is going to be a front runner for the 2024 Clown of the Year. So let's do a couple of honorable mentions before I get to the top 5 clowns of the year. And let's start off with Ben Hodges, the former commander, the former U.S. NATO commander, Ben Hodges. And he's an honorable mention because if there's anybody that got every single prediction for the Ukraine conflict wrong, it is Ben Hodges. Ben Hodges, he went on and on about how Ukraine was going to capture Crimea in the spring of 2023, then the summer of 2023. And he still actually believes that Ukraine can win this conflict and that Ukraine can capture Crimea. So he is the one person, a military expert, that's what he claims to be, who has gotten every single prediction about Project Ukraine wrong. So he gets an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is Jungle Joseph. Now, Jungle Joseph, he did not make the top 5 clowns of the year, but he is definitely worthy of an honorable mention because, well, Jungle Joseph's garden fell apart in 2023, and he says a lot of dumb stuff. He's constantly warning Russia and China and India and Iran. He's warning everybody in the jungle, and he's constantly talking up the garden. But in 2023, it was indeed the garden that fell to pieces, and it was the jungle that is rising and has all of the momentum behind it. So Jungle Joseph gets an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is the NATO chief, Mr. Stoltenberg. Well, he gets an honorable mention because NATO got completely spanked by the Russian military in 2023, and Stoltenberg is responsible for NATO. So how can you leave Stoltenberg off the list? Stoltenberg went on and on in 2023 about how Ukraine was going to win and Ukraine was going to be victorious, and the big spring-summer counteroffensive was going to be successful. And as long as it takes, and Stoltenberg was made a fool as the Russian military defeated the NATO proxy, perhaps the most powerful NATO military in Europe, not one time, but 3 times, and that's worthy of an honorable mention. Another honorable mention has to go to Duda, Andrzej Duda, the president of Poland. How can you not give Duda an honorable mention? His Law and Justice Party, they are not in the government anymore, but Duda started the year best buddies with Zelensky, and that relationship soured. And 2023 will be remembered as the year when Duda was hugging Zelensky nonstop, and then those hugs, they stopped. And so, Duda has to get an honorable mention because of all the photos and the videos of big Duda hugging the little green man, and now the love is gone. So Duda gets an honorable mention. And is this the final? Yes, the final honorable mention goes to none other than Ursula von der Crazy. Now, Ursula should probably get a Lifetime Achievement Award because she's made a ton of clown worlds, and probably some of the most memorable clown worlds. But a lot of those clown worlds were in 2022, and those clown worlds were so good that they carried over into 2023. One of the best clown worlds for Ursula in 2023 was when she visited China, and the Chinese, they made Ursula leave the country like everybody else through customs and passport checks. The same line that me and you would use if we were to exit China. So that was a fantastic clown world, which embarrassed Ursula. But her big clown worlds were in 2022 when she said, what was that speech? She said that 100,000 Ukrainians were killed. Actually, she said Ukrainian commanders or high-level military officials were KIA. And then, of course, you have the washing machines, the chips from washing machines. And, of course, you have tatters and seize, not freeze. So a lot of that fell in 2022. But, Ursula, she still made a lot of clown worlds this year, but just not enough to land her on the top 5 list. So we begin with the top 5 clowns of the year. And we have to start with number 5, and that is Olaf Scholz. Yes, Olaf Scholz. He makes the top 5 clowns of the year because it is quite an achievement, an incredible achievement, to take a powerful economy like Germany, an economy that has been building up for many, many decades, to become the shining star of Europe and one of the most powerful economies, one of the strongest economies in the world, and to destroy that economy in one single year. And that alone is enough to land Olaf Scholz at the number 5 spot. Just a couple of weeks ago, Olaf Scholz actually tried to blame the Putin for Germany's economic woes, and he actually tried to fool the German people into believing that the disruption in Russian energy to Germany was because Putin decided to block off Russian energy to Germany. So that was a whopper of a lie. But Olaf Scholz, perhaps the worst leader on the entire planet in 2023, and a man who will go down in history for the deindustrialization of Germany. All in support of Project Ukraine and a clown puppet actor who plays the piano with his penis. That is what Olaf Scholz decided to destroy Germany for. And of course, you can't forget Nord Stream, but Nord Stream was in 2022. But Olaf Scholz, you are the number 5 clown of the year. And that brings us to number 4. The number 4 clown of the year goes to none other than Volodymyr Zelensky. Volodymyr Zelensky is number 4. And the big failure of the super duper counter-offensive, the spring, summer, winter, fall, summer, spring, fall counter-offensive that offends me, offends you, offends everyone on the beach this Monday afternoon. Well, that's enough. That's more than enough to get Zelensky into the top 5 spots for Clown of the Year. But boy, did Zelensky have so much more to give for 2023 as far as clown worlds go. And I have a list of Zelensky's clown worlds, and I probably missed a few because there were so many. And he was snubbed at the Oscars. That was pretty funny. Zelensky trying to speak at the Oscars, and the Oscars told him to buzz off. Actually, Zelensky in 2023, he couldn't book any shows, any speaking engagements, not in parliaments, not at any award shows, not even at universities. Zelensky had a hard time booking appearances in 2023. The Zelensky curse really took hold in 2023. A lot of prominent Collective West leaders fell to the Zelensky curse. His trip to the United States, his trip to the U.S., his second trip to the U.S., where he went to Washington, D.C., and his goal was to secure $61 billion, and he left with $200 million. That was pretty bad for Zelensky. That was a pretty bad week for Zelensky. And how about the revelation earlier in the year from the former Prime Minister of Israel that Zelensky, during the beginning of the SMO, was actually hiding in his bunker, afraid that Putin would annihilate him. The Putin would annihilate him. And so he called Naftali Bennett, and he begged Naftali Bennett to meet with Putin and to get Putin's promise that he wouldn't be annihilated. And once Naftali Bennett secured that promise, what did Zelensky do? He went out onto the streets of Kiev and he filmed a TikTok, Instagram video calling Putin a coward and saying that Putin was hiding out in a bunker and that he was the brave one to be out in the streets of Kiev. So that was pretty funny, that display from Zelensky, that TikTok, Instagram video from Zelensky. Vivek Ramaswamy called Zelensky a comedian in cargo pants. And Time Magazine, they ran a story on Zelensky, and they said that Zelensky is delusional and has a messiah complex, and that his inner circle, they believe that Zelensky is absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So that was also interesting. But the two stories, in my opinion, that almost pushed Zelensky to the number 3 or number 2 spot in Clown World of the Year. The one story is his trip to the NATO summit in Vilnius, with that now iconic, historic photo of Zelensky dressed up in his best green attire, and he was hoping that Ukraine would be invited into NATO, and he got completely snubbed. And that photo shows a very angry Zelensky, isolated by himself, while his wife was dressed up in a very nice evening gown, holding the hands of other NATO wives, and she was having a great time, but Zelensky looked absolutely furious. And so many memes came out of that photo of an upset Zelensky dressed in his green, his best green attire. So that was an amazing event. And then, of course, we have the Zelensky interview when he was in the United States with Meet the Press. What an interview that was. Zelensky Meet the Press. That interview alone gave me like 3 or 4 clown worlds. That was the interview where Zelensky told Meet the Press that Trump would never be able to get a ceasefire in Ukraine. He invited Trump to Kiev in order to hit Trump with the Zelensky curse. By the way, Zelensky also tried to hit Orban with the Zelensky curse when he was invited by Milei to Argentina for Milei's inauguration. It was the Meet the Press interview where Zelensky dropped the F-bomb. He dropped the F-bomb and he called Putin an F-terrorist. That was actually the interview where Zelensky came up with the nickname The Putin. He didn't say it once, but he said it twice. The Putin. That's Zelensky's nickname for Russian President Putin. The Putin. And of course, it was during that interview where Zelensky said, "I have power," when Meet the Press, the journalist for Meet the Press, I always forget her name, Kristen something, she asked Zelensky, "How do you do it? How do you get by these difficult times?" And Zelensky said, "I have the power." And of course, everyone came out with memes and with messages saying, "I have the powder."
What keeps you going? Do you ever feel defeated?
I have a lot of power.
And and then during this interview with Meet the Press, and this is the cherry on top of the cake, the interview with Meet the Press, where Zelensky says that he will take loans, he will take credits. Give me your loan. Give me your credit cards. Give me anything. I'm good for it. Just give me money, America. And that line is just, oh my God. We're never going to forget that statement from Zelensky, where he basically told America, I'm good for it. Give me your credit cards. Give me loan. Give me 60 billion on credit. No problem. I will pay you back.
If you can't give us some financial support, okay, please give us a credit and we will give you back money.
Oh boy, that Meet the Press interview. So Zelensky at number 4, and now we get to number 3. How am I doing on time? All right, I'm doing okay on time. Number 3 goes to Blinken and Biden. Yes, the duo of Blinken and Biden, the U.S. Secretary of State and the President of the United States. Now, by themselves, they had a whole bunch of clown worlds. Blinken made a lot of clown worlds by himself. Of course, Biden, God save the Queen. He made a lot of clown worlds as well, but together, well, they're at number 3 because Blinken was always lurking around Biden, trying to control the puppet strings of President Joe Bidenopoulos, but it would never work out. And the one story that I believe was one of the best clown worlds of the year, perhaps the second or third best clown world of the year, was when Xi Jinping was in San Francisco. He met with Biden. It seemed like they had a good meeting. It seemed like they were able to establish some sort of dialogue and some sort of understanding. And Blinken was so very proud of himself. This was a diplomatic victory for Blinken, perhaps the first foreign policy victory for Antony Blinken. And he was so proud of himself. And Xi Jinping, he left and he went on his way. And I don't know who it was or who got the idea for Biden to hold a press conference. And Antony Blinken was sitting in the front row, and Biden by himself gave a press conference after the meeting with Xi Jinping. And somehow, some way, I don't know how this question slipped through the cracks, because everything is very controlled with Biden. Blinken is always trying to control the puppet strings of Biden, Blinken, Kirby, Sullivan. But somehow a journalist asked Biden. Now, Biden a week ago called Xi Jinping a dictator. Actually, he's called Xi Jinping a dictator a bunch of times in 2023, as has Blinken. Blinken has also called Xi Jinping a dictator. But anyway, Xi Jinping, he put that aside. He forgot about all the dictator nonsense, and he took up a meeting with Biden. So Biden is there by himself, and the journalist asks the question to Biden, do you still consider Xi Jinping a dictator? And the room was quiet. Everyone silent. That was the question. That was the question. Do you consider Xi Jinping a dictator? And you can see Blinken in the front row. He's just like, oh boy, okay. Okay, Joe, we went over this last night. We practiced this 100 times. No, I do not consider Xi Jinping a dictator. No, I do not consider Xi Jinping a dictator. Come on, Joe. You can do it. Just remember what we practiced. The room silent. And Joe Biden, he looks out into the audience and he says, yes, Xi Jinping is a dictator. Oh, Blinken, oh, the face of Anthony Blinken. His face, oh my God, so close to diplomatic success, so close. The disappointment on Blinken's face. We are never going to forget the disappointment on Blinken's face.
Mr. President, after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that is based on a form of government totally different than ours.
So Blinken and Biden are at number 3. Number 2 now. Number 2 and number 1. Okay. So this was a hard choice. This was a really hard choice, everyone. This was a choice between quantity and quality. And, well, I had to go with quantity. And number 2 in the Clown of the Year award goes to none other than Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Now, Trudeau, he made a lot of clown worlds in 2023. Some very good clown worlds. He talked a lot about the leopard tanks. I did a lot of skits where Trudeau is confused with the leopards. He confuses leopards with cheetahs as he's speaking to Olaf Scholz. And he sent a lot of money, and he pretty much emptied out all of Canada's military stockpiles and handed them over to Ukraine. He had trouble just a couple of months ago saying the word ceasefire when talking about the war in Israel and in Gaza. He couldn't bring himself to say the word ceasefire. About 6 months ago, Trudeau, he traveled to Kiev, and he actually gifted the Zelensky regime a stolen Antonov plane, which was actually delivering medicine, if I remember correctly, to Canada. And Trudeau confiscated that plane, and then he handed it over to Zelensky. And of course, we had the gas turbine sanctions story, which started to bubble up a couple of months ago as Olaf Scholz was trying to blame Germany's energy woes on the Putin and Russia. But let's put all of that aside. There was one clown world which will go down in history as probably the greatest clown world ever. Like ever. And that has to be the Parliament session, the event where Zelensky and his wife were invited to, and Justin Trudeau and the entirety of the Parliament in Canada, they gave a standing ovation to another guest who was at this Parliament event, and it was an SS Nazi from World War II. What was his name? Hunka or Hunfa or something like that. I forgot his name, but wow, what a clown world that was. Justin Trudeau, Zelensky's wife, a standing ovation to an SS Nazi.
Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War.
And they actually met with this guy before the parliament session started. So they briefed this guy. He's been known for a while now in Canada that this guy was a real, like, World War II SS Nazi, and Trudeau, he still brought him to this event, and the entirety of the Parliament in Canada, they gave him a standing ovation. Left, right, liberals, conservatives, libertarians, Greens, they all stood up and applauded this SS World War II guy that Trudeau brought to the Parliament, and Trudeau is still in power. He is still the Prime Minister of Canada, and not only that, Trudeau got the Speaker of the Parliament. He got that guy to take the fall. What's his name? Anthony. I want to say Anthony Doda, or I forgot his name. He was the Speaker of the Parliament, and Trudeau got him to take the fall and accept all of the blame for the invitation of this SS guy to the Parliament in Canada. What a story! What a clown world from the Prime Minister of Canada, perhaps the greatest clown world in all of history. All of history. Trudeau just a year, 2 years ago, he was confiscating the bank accounts of the truckers in Canada because, according to the media, they spotted one NAZI flag at the protest rally, and so Trudeau and Freeland, they decided to seize the bank accounts of the truckers and people that supported the truckers. And here was Trudeau in 2023 bringing a real life World War II SS to the Parliament in Canada, and everyone giving him a standing ovation. Even Zelensky was like giving a fist pump to this guy in the Parliament in Canada. All right, so now I have to wrap up the video, and we have to get to the #1 clown of the year. And of course, this award goes to Annalena 360, 560, 720i, the Foreign Minister of Germany, Annalena Baerbock. Trudeau brought the quality with that clown world from the Parliament in Canada, but the quantity, my God, the quantity that Annalena brought to the 2023 Clown World segments. I mean, I have a 3-page list of all the clown worlds that Annalena made in 2023, and we're talking like quality clown worlds. So let me just read you off some of the clown worlds from Annalena, who started 2023 as just Annalena Baerbock, Foreign Minister of Germany, and within a month of the 2023 year, she became Annalena 360, and then towards the end of the year, she became Annalena 720i. And here are some of Annalena's clown worlds. She started off the year saying that Germany is at war with Russia.
And therefore, I've said already in the last days, yes, we have to do more to defend Ukraine. Yes, we have to do more also on tanks. But the most important and the crucial part is that we do it together and that we do not do the blame game in Europe, because we are fighting a war against Russia and not against each other. Thank you.
She then was at an event with Blinken sitting next to her, where she was asked about Putin and what Putin needs to do in order to get back into the good graces of the collective West. And at this event, Annalena said that we need a 360-degree turn. So Annalena became Annalena 360, Blinken by her side.
Sure, you have been asked before, but I would still like to hear your answer. Is there any chance of Ukraine being safe in the long term if Vladimir Putin is still leading Russia?
If he doesn't change by 360 degrees, no.
But everything that happened over the last year, and it's truly remarkable what's happened over the last year.
Annalena said just a few months ago that Ukraine needs a winter protection umbrella and that Germany is going to fund Ukraine for as long as it takes. Annalena said that the EU is going to expand from Lisbon to Lugansk, which would make a great movie title, From Lisbon to Lugansk. Politico voted her as one of the year's best straight talkers. She said that Leopard tanks are like iPhones, and just because Russia is destroying Leopard tanks doesn't mean that those Leopard tanks should be called German Leopard tanks. They should be called Ukraine Leopard tanks. Annalena went on Fox News, and she also called Xi Jinping a dictator.
And we will support Ukraine as long as it takes. Because if Putin were to win this war, what sign would that be for other dictators in the world? Like Xi, like the Chinese president. So therefore, Ukraine has to win this war. Freedom and democracy have to win. And we will stand with Ukraine as long as it takes.
She, at the beginning of the summer, she told the Germans that there's going to be no holidays for German citizens because of the Putin. She also gave a speech and she said that Russia continues to use chips from German washing machines.
Nehmen wir zum Beispiel das Beispiel Waschmaschinen. Wir liefern als Deutschland, bekannterweise haben wir sehr prominente Waschmaschinenhersteller, viele Waschmaschinen in die Welt. Da sind Chips eingebaut, die man im Zweifel wieder ausbauen kann und dann auch für Drohnen, Raketen oder anderes benutzen kann.
And who could forget that foreign ministers meeting where the Croatian foreign minister went to kiss Annalena, and Annalena turned away from the Croatian foreign minister's smooch. So Annalena Baerbock, and honestly, I could probably do a whole nother hour video of Annalena Baerbock's clown worlds. And there were just so many. There were really just so many clown worlds. But look, quantity wins the day, and of course 360, we are at war with Russia. Russia's using German washing machine chips. I mean, you know, what more can you say? Leopards are like iPhones. Annalena receives our 2023 Clown of the Year. So let me know what you think of the list. Drop a like, subscribe to this channel. I believe I actually hit 190 on YouTube finally. I was at 189 for like 3 months. But drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's see what 2024 brings for the Clown World of the Year awards. All right, everybody, take care.